All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning. Good morning. This is Michelle Bryant. I am filling in this morning for my colleague, none other than the incredible Mr. Keith Paris. Say all the nice stuff up front. And his program, didn't say show, his program, what's the name of his program?
The Keith Paris program.
The Community Voice. What's the name of his program, Debo?
Community Voice.
Thank you so much. I love doing that. But the Community Voice. And look, Keith had to take care of some stuff today, but I am thrilled that I actually am getting a chance to sit in for him because of the interview that he had scheduled for this morning. Yesterday, I had an opportunity to do a podcast, Facts Over Feelings. And one of the things that came up was about elected officials and the idea that elections matter and elections have consequences. And so, as we were having this conversation yesterday, when I realized that Keith had the interview scheduled with Judge Chris Taylor, I was like, Keith, I want to come sit in on the interview. And he was like, oh, you're doing it. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I'm going to have to be out tomorrow. So I need you to cover and do the interview. And I'm going to tell you why I was as excited and ecstatic even about the opportunity to see Judge Taylor. Working in the Senate and in the state legislature, you come across all types of people. God knows you do. And some of them are memorable and some of them are memorable and for different reasons. When I had the opportunity to sit behind Senator Taylor while she served on the Joint Finance Committee, and the committee, there's an imbalance of power. That's just the way it is. Majority Republicans hold those seats. Is it 12 people, I think? So 8 are Republicans, 4 are Democrats. And if the shoe was reversed, it'd be the same way. That's just the power dynamics of the building. And we had 4 Democrats that had to hold it down for the entire state. They had to make the case. They had to argue. They had to question. They had to be the fighters for all of the people that had progressive leaning values in the state. And those 4, Senator Taylor, Senator John Erpenbach, State Representative Gordon Hintz, and State Representative at that time, Chris Taylor. When I tell you this was the dream team, they were so phenomenal because these are some of the smartest people. Chris Taylor and Gordon Hintz used to blow me away. Studied, Chris could take you in the weeds and around the corner and come back, and you had just gotten this mini education. And I'm like, wait, I read the same thing. I missed points A, F, and Q that she brought up. And then when she got done, Lena would come behind, throw in her, working comments. And then it was just mic drop moments all the time. I walked away from those experiences like, looking at, and in this case, I'm just going to mention women, looking at 2 strong women who kicked butt, took names, and took no prisoners. So when I found out you were coming today, Chris, Judge Taylor, put a handle on it, be respectful. I am such a huge fan. Welcome to the show this morning, Judge Chris Taylor, a sitting Wisconsin Court of Appeals judge. Welcome to the show, Judge Taylor.
Thank you so much, Michelle. You're making me laugh. I'm remembering some really good times, and I really appreciate that. Incredible introduction. Wow.
We were in the trenches on some days.
And sometimes it felt like that. That's for sure.
And the staff would do all that we could to get information, but to watch you guys execute and push back and land punches, if you will, rhetorical, but land punches. It was amazing, and you just realize the difference it makes having really sharp and prepared people in the room who love the work that they do. So for folks that are like Michelle now, okay, she just sounds too amazing, too good to be true. Um, Tell us, Chris, for folks that aren't familiar with you, tell people a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, that was an incredible experience being on the Joint Finance Committee. And, those people who you mentioned, now Judge Lena Taylor
Yes.
and John Urbanbach and Gordon Hance, they're still dear friends. I mean, Lena is my sister.
Yes.
That's what we say, and that's how I feel about it. But really, Michelle, my whole life, from the time I was a little kid, I always wanted to stand up for people who weren't being treated fairly, whether it was a kid on the playground or it was someone who was being, verbally abused. I just always had this very strong sense that I wanted to fight injustice where I saw it. And I learned that the law was a tool to help people and to improve their lives. And that's why I went to law school. There were no lawyers in my family.
Okay.
My family didn't even like lawyers, I don't think. I don't think they trusted lawyers. They were teachers
Most families don't like
tradespeople. And most
until you
families
need
don't.
one. Until you need
Until
one.
you need one. But I just always had this sense, and watching my grandma, I was very close to my maternal grandmother. She lived to be 107 years old.
Okay.
She struggled to raise my mom and her two brothers as a single mom. She was a single mom throughout the 40s, 1940s.
Wow.
She had to go back to work. She couldn't make it. She just couldn't economically make it until she got a union job where she made a decent wage. And she was able to send my mom and her two brothers to college, and they became public school teachers. And I realized, wow, without that law that enabled workers to have a voice in their workplace and to earn a fair wage, my family wouldn't have made it. They wouldn't have survived, and they were able to, and they thrived. And so it really taught me the power of having laws that protect people, that respect their rights, that give them opportunity, not take the opportunity away, that help people, that help people live their dreams. And I saw that certainly within my own family. So, went to law school, went to Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin as their law and policy director. I was in private practice for a while, and then took this really weird turn that I didn't expect to run for the state legislature.
Right.
And did
and what
so.
year did you do that?
That
What year
was
did you come in?
2011.
Okay.
It was a lot going on in the state in 2011, and I ran in a special election and was able to win in a very tough 6-way primary. And I think that I won that race because I talked about people. I talked about reproductive health care. I talked about people's rights, and I wanted people to really understand, like I do now in running for the state Supreme Court, that I am committed to them, that I am running because of them, because I want them to have a government that works for them. I want people to understand they should be the center of the government, that judges should put them first, and should do everything we can to make sure that people who come before us get a fair chance, get a fair opportunity to be heard. And it's not just about, the special interests and the billionaires who have such oversized power. This is really a campaign for people, the people of the state.
So before we get to the campaign aspect of it, so you were in the state assembly
I was
for how
in the
long?
state assembly for 9 years.
And if you think about that 9 years, I tell people all the time, I look for receipts. Were there accomplishments? Were there things that were done? Proudest moment, the best thing about that job that you turned around and you said, this is why I came. I was able to affect change.
Yeah.
Do you have an example of something like that?
Sure. I think some of the proudest things that I worked on were bipartisan bills that passed in a really hard environment. Probably there's a couple of bills I'm really proud of that were bipartisan that passed unanimously. And one is a bill that requires, and it's still in effect, I think it's still a really good law, that when there is an officer involved shooting of a civilian, that there's an independent investigation into that shooting, that it's not the officer's own department investigating. That
And to
it's
be able to bring Democrats and Republicans to the table.
exactly.
And get something like, because I talk about it's great to have beliefs, values, ideologies that drive us. But if you can't turn those things into tangible outcomes, bills, laws, legislation, policies that actually affect change in people's lives, then all we're talking about is dreams. And at some point, I can't live on that. Yeah. And so I really, even, and I look for people that even when the deck can be stacked against you, even when you don't have control of the governor's residence, the legislature, either house, you're still able to manage to get things done. It is so important. One of the things I always remembered about you is you'd have the ALEC playbook. and I went to the conference, you guys. I brought this information back. Let me tell you what it said right here on page. And it would be so funny because most Democrats wouldn't dare go to an ALEC conference. Can you just take a second and talk about that for a second?
Sure.
And why you thought that was important?
Well, there was this group, for people who don't know, called the American Legislative Exchange Council. And this was a group that was really controlled by big corporate interests that wanted state legislators to go back to their states and introduce various bills that helped them, that maximized their corporate profits, that took away corporate accountability. And I started getting concerned. We were seeing bills being introduced that were not coming from the people of the state of Wisconsin. And so I realized through Congressman Mark Pocan's work, he had gone to some of these meetings, that it was important for us to know, where were these bills coming from? Why were they being introduced? Where were they?
You literally go into the belly of the beast to figure this stuff out.
Yes, I went, and I thought it was important to go and to hear, and also to try to figure out, can I understand this better? I think we need to talk to people and try to work with people who don't believe everything we believe.
Right.
And that was the challenge in the legislature. And I'll tell you, Judge Lena Taylor did this really well. It was really good to watch her do this. Is how do you figure out how to work with people who may not hold your values, who may not agree with many important things? And I loved that process in the legislature. And so going to ALEC, I wanted to understand it more, but I also wanted to be able to say, these bills are not coming from the people of the state of Wisconsin. They're not asking for these bills. They literally
were a playbook.
They were model bills.
That's right.
To help big corporations who already had so much power.
And I thought it was important to bring that up because, again, to the point of receipts, being able to work across the aisle to get things done, but also being willing to open that door and walk into the room where I may not be welcome. I may not share all of the, political, beliefs or background of the folks in the room, but I'm coming. And I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna share, exchange, and I'm gonna bring that back and see how it impacts my state. Yep. I was always impressed about that.
Oh, thank you.
By you, because not a ton of people will do it. I'm like, good luck getting me to sit through one of those meetings. So you did that. So at some point, you make the decision. You leave the legislature and you go and
I become a judge. I was, the legislature was a detour for me. I always knew I was not going to be there forever. I really had always thought about being a judge. I had clerked in law school. I was the law clerk for one of the first women trial court judges ever elected. Her name was Maura Kruger, and I learned so much from her, and I was a huge admirer of her. I think I didn't really know how to get there, though. Running in an election for most attorneys is a very scary thing. That's not something we know. But I think being in the legislature taught me I could do it. I could run a race and win. And it also made me a better judge because I understood that laws impact real people who have real problems. I saw that every day in dealing with constituents, not just in my community, but all over the state, because I went all over the state as a legislator helping my colleagues. So I really wanted to use my legal experience to continue to help people, continue to make sure people were heard and were treated fairly and got their cases resolved in the fairest, most independent way possible. And I love public service. I just want to serve the public. And so the judiciary was always very attractive to me. I applied. I was appointed by the governor. I became a trial court judge, a circuit court judge in Dane County on a criminal rotation, and really brought, at that point I had been a lawyer, for 25 years doing a
Wow.
lot of different things,
Okay.
but really was helped by my experience in the legislature, because I don't ever forget that what I'm doing has real ramifications
Absolutely.
for real people.
So the decision has been made to
It has
enter
been. It's been made.
the Supreme Court, Wisconsin Supreme Court race. And, there are folks sitting on pins and needles because we understand kind of what a precarious situation we are in with the court. The elections have consequences, talking about how that makeup can shift the entire movement trajectory of a state. I'm looking at what's happening at the federal level right now, and it feels like rights are being rolled back every day. You talked about laws being important in relationship to your grandmother, being able to secure that union job and fair wages. I think about the law in terms of being a person of color and how we were able to gain civil rights, gain unfettered access to vote, no poll taxes, um, you know, segregated housing goes away to an extent, dealing with redlining because we were able to utilize the law. Right. For all the marches and the protests, right, at the end of the day, we still had to come back to the law to be able to effectuate change. And so to see how critical these roles are, because there are people that won't think much about the Supreme Court, right, at all. Right. I need to take a quick break, but when we come back, for you to be able to kind of paint that picture, sure, of why this is an important election and why people need to pay attention and most certainly show up. So we will do that in just a moment. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM, talking with none other than Judge Chris Taylor, who is a candidate for Wisconsin State Supreme Court. We'll be right back.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. More bad news for the economy, even as the Trump administration claims America is in a new golden age. But the question is, booming for whom? A new survey from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows that in August, inflation expectations ticked up to 3.2%. At the same time, workers are bracing for smaller gains. Median earnings growth expectations slipped to 2.5%, below the year-long average. Unemployment fears are rising as well. On average, Americans now put the chance of a higher jobless rate a year from now at 39%. And perhaps the most troubling number, job security. The perceived odds of finding a job
All right, family, welcome back. This is Michelle Bryant sitting in for my colleague, Mr. Keith Paris, on his program, Community Voice. And today the community is getting an opportunity to hear the voice of Judge Chris Taylor, who is actually running for Wisconsin State Supreme Court. Before we went to the break, I talked about the ability for Judge Taylor to set up why we are at a pivotal moment in terms of this court's makeup. We've had some decisions that people had been kind of holding their breath about, what we were going to do about abortion, and if we were going to go back to a law that dates back to the 1800s to govern how women handle their bodies today, what we were going to do about redistricting and creating maps that created districts that fairly represented the people of the state. We got a 50-50 leaning state, but that's not reflected in the legislature. And then I even think about what's happening down in Texas, where they are looking at drawing, district maps that completely shut voices out. And so when we think about Wisconsin, Judge Taylor, for lay people that, hey, life, we say this thing now, life is lifing, and we don't get to look up and look at some of these things that we should have our eye on. What do people need to understand about the significance?
Sure. Well, I think, first of all, unfortunately, we cannot depend on the U.S. Supreme Court to protect our rights, to protect our elections, to hold the executive and the legislative branches accountable when they act unlawfully. So we're really looking to the state Supreme Court to do that. Right. And the state Supreme Court has made so many important decisions that were decided by one vote. You mentioned some of them. The first thing that I'll mention is a couple months ago, the 1849 criminal abortion ban was struck down. It's not enforceable. That was a decision by one vote. The implication of that were, if that had been allowed to go into effect, women and families throughout the state of Wisconsin, in most instances, even in instances of rape, of incest, when a woman's health was being impacted, would have been denied access to an abortion that could save a woman's life or protect her fertility.
I thought about this woman down in Georgia who something happened to her. She is brain dead, but they will not allow her family to lay her to rest because she was pregnant, and they make this woman lay in this state until this child is born. Now this child, even the doctors have said, this child is going to have a very difficult time because of the condition of the mother. So you're right when you think about how that one vote changes the dynamic for my freedoms and my daughters and granddaughters' freedoms in this state versus being somewhere else.
Exactly.
So other things you want to
Well,
decide.
and I will say that, I think people want to be able to make their own personal private healthcare decisions in the most egregious situations.
Right.
We're already suffering, right? Because you're in this position. So I think that's one instance. The other, I can give you lots of instances, but the other instance is, President Trump brought a lawsuit to invalidate our 2020 election. That was not heard by one vote, that lawsuit. The three
So this is when he comes after Milwaukee and Dane County.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
You want to vote? You want your vote to count? That election was protected by one vote. Gerrymandering, I believe, and it's right in the Constitution, that people should have the right to pick their elected representatives. Not the elected representatives choose who they want their voters to be. That was another case that the Supreme Court, by one vote, struck down the legislative maps as not being lawful. And so all those things were decided by this tiny little margin. And then I will also say there was another recent case, and I really think a lot about this issue for people in Milwaukee, people really all over the state, and that is clean drinking water and lead poisoning that is impacting children.
Right.
We just had a case, again, by one vote, that said the state can can issue safe drinking water rules to protect people from toxic chemicals that is polluting their water, making them sick. And that's all over the state. And these are these PFAS,
Yes.
these chemicals. That was by one vote. So many things, I think, impact people of the state, just their ability to participate in our democracy. That needs to be protected. That is the fundamental part of our democracy. It's the people that drive the government. It's the people that choose, not the other way around. So it's so important. And I could go on. There's economic issues, I think, that really impact people. Are you going to be able to get unemployment insurance? Are you going to be able to get workers' compensation? Are you going to be treated fairly when those claims are denied? Courts hear those claims, regularly. And so there's also a myriad of economic decisions.
And people don't think about that the Supreme Court plays at that level. You do
Right.
think about this being lower courts that are making some of these decisions, but at the end of the day, that final say, if you will, for outcomes for us as a state, that's where these things land. So when people are looking at the makeup of the court and they say, well, these are like what 10-year gigs, Michelle. How does we just did 2 elections? We got
Right.
Susan Crawford, we got Jennifer Protasewicz.
Yeah.
How
Right.
how are we here? So whose
Right.
seat are you running
So
to replace?
that's a really good question. So I was running against a very right-wing extreme justice who voted in ways that I just mentioned would have really got some fundamental principles for people's rights. She announced, her name was Justice Rebecca Bradley. She announced about a little more than a week ago, she was not running.
Right.
So I suspect that the big, powerful special interests, the billionaires who are I'm not their candidate, are going to handpick somebody to run against me. Now, why is this important, you ask? Because there's already a 4-3 split of more progressive, more like-minded people to me on this court. Why does it matter? Well, we have 5 state Supreme Court elections coming up in the next 5 years.
And that is why this is so
This is in flux, this composition.
Absolutely.
I don't think anyone should be comfortable with these important decisions being made about our democracy, about our elections, about our fundamental rights by one vote. That is like hanging off a cliff.
And we literally, I think if I read this right one time, we literally could see a Supreme Court judicial race every year.
Yes,
for
until
the next
2030.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like you said, they're coming back to back. And so we can't be comfortable with, oh no, for people that are more progressive, liberal leaning, however you want to describe it, we got the court on lock now. No, we don't. No, we do not, because these other races are in play. And so you mentioned, that some big, powerful people may be trying to identify, handpick a candidate. The role of money in these races. The numbers that we saw in the Protasewicz race, those numbers were astronomical in terms of money. Then we look at Crawford's race and we're wondering, like, how do people finance these things? And then, if you got to go looking for help, the people that want to come in and help, I'll put it that way. You get knocked for people coming in to help from the outside, but it's like, I can't compete against some of the money that folks are pouring into these races. I bring this up with everybody. I brought it up with Judge Crawford. Anybody that's running in these roles, the role that money is now playing in these races.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. And it's really unfortunate. I was actually in the legislature when a lot of our campaign finance laws were gutted, and I was strongly in opposition to doing that because of this issue. I am running a grassroots campaign. I am all over the state, but I also understand I need the resources to win this race. And I'm really proud that I've received contributions from every corner of the state, from every county. I don't know any billionaires, Michelle. I got to tell you that they're not in my, phone contact list. So for me, this is about going out to the people of this state, getting them excited, letting and encouraging them to see that we can make a difference in our government. Even when you look out and see all these concerning things happening, we can make sure that we have a strong state Supreme Court that is going to put them first, that is going to protect their rights, that's going to protect their democracy. And so that's the message I want people to get. I want to inspire people to join this campaign for justice and get on my website, www.chrisforjustice.com, sign up to get updates. There are things we can do right here in our state to make sure our state Supreme Court is protecting the people of the state, protecting our elections, our democracy. So that's my focus, is I'm going to the people, and I want this is a campaign about the people, for the people. This is about justice.
All right, so
you
out there. What's the reception been? I heard you say I've gotten donations from every corner.
I have.
Have there been any hard, pushback challenges?
Sure. I mean, look, I want to engage people who are going to challenge me. I mean, this is what I love, right? I loved in the legislature. I got to tell you.
I didn't really want to say that, but
No.
you have never turned down a good debate, a good pushback session. You've never done that. So, yeah.
I love it. This is what I do on the Court of Appeals. I mean, I write decisions in panels with other judges. It's imperative that we are listening to each other and we're considering other people's viewpoint. And so that's the exciting thing for me about this race, is I do encounter people who, have different opinions about things. And what I do is I listen to them. I think it's really important for a judge to listen to people. That's what I did in the trial court. And now I review mostly things on paper, but you have to really pay attention to what people are saying so you can understand their perspective. And, I've met very few people who don't care about making sure our elections are protected,
right,
who don't care about making sure they can vote in a way that's meaningful and not negated because of unlawful gerrymandering. Most people share very common values in the state. They want a chance. They want a chance to succeed. They want a chance to be treated fairly and be given opportunities. And that's what I focus on. And in my interpretation and application of the law. So I find that people are more similar than different, but it's important to talk to people who have different opinions, because that's how you learn. And you might change your opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna get a whole lot better on that. So I'm gonna do this. I always laugh. I love when candidates come in, even elected officials, and they come in, but there's always staff in the room. I tell people all the time.
Oh yeah,
they're either in the room, they're in the foyer area, but they are somewhere and they're looking at the interviewer. You do know we're on a time schedule, right? You do know we have somewhere else to be. And so there's this handsome gentleman in the corner saying,
Sam. Say hello, Sam.
saying, hey, we're good. But no pressure. I just want to make sure I'm being respectful of the time. I will just say this as we wrap. And Judge, I'll ask you to give people your website. How do they contact you? How do they learn more about you? How do they make a donation if they're interested in doing that? But I will tell people, we used to talk at the Capitol, and we would talk about if we had to put together, our squad to kick in a door. And Chris Taylor's name was on everybody's list, like Adelina. Them the two for sure. Here we go. Yeah, we can play with some of the other players, but this was male or female. If I'm bringing somebody to back me up, and I say this not lightly as a person who is willing to challenge and push to make sure that things are fair for people. And there are people that won't go with you. You will turn around and everybody's like, yeah, we're going to talk about this. We're going to take this head on. And then you turn around and you're in the meeting and you're the only one raising the concern. You're the only one coming with the data and the facts. And you're like, damn it. Okay. You have always impressed me as somebody that is going to show up.
Oh, thank you.
And you're going to show up armed, prepared, educated on the issue. And like I said, some of the best questions and gotcha moments have come at the hands of Chris Taylor and I'm like, you remind me, and she's in Congress, and she always has that whiteboard. Oh my God, what is her name? I almost said it. But the minute she pulls out this board, you are in trouble. This woman is Katie Porter.
Oh yeah, Katie
Porter is gonna kill you every time. And so there are certain people that you walk into the room and you're like, yeah, if you didn't do your homework, if you are not prepared, this is really not the person you want to have to engage today. Chris, you have always been that person, prepared, diligent, respectful, even in discourse, and so I just want to say I'm super proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Having had an upfront opportunity to kind of watch the career move, and I look forward to what this campaign is going to do. And so for people that want to learn more about you, how to support you,
go to my website. And I'm also, let me give the website. It's www.chris4justice.com. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram.
Oh, you got them all.
I got them all. And we're doing some really fun content. But talk to your friends and family and let them know this race is coming up April 7th. That is not 2026, you all. That is not that far away. So I need people to start talking to people, their friends, family, colleagues, neighbors, about what kind of state do they want to live in? What kind of court do they want in this state? And that, people deserve to have a justice that's on their side. And that's who I am. And I will never, ever stop standing up for people's constitutional rights. I will never stop. That is my passion. That is why I'm a lawyer. That is why I'm a judge. And that is my commitment to the people of this state.
So just quick thing before you walk out the door. I always, and I didn't do this on the front end, family.
Oh, yes. I'm a proud mother of 2 boys, 15-year-old high school student.
So you understand.
He's given me a run for my money, let me tell you. And then I have a 19-year-old who's starting his sophomore year at college.
Okay.
And a lovely husband and a dog named Ollie that is the most lovable black Labrador you will ever
And I didn't know. I looked up some stuff on you. I didn't know you were originally from LA. You were born in LA.
Yeah, I grew up.
Okay. Yep. Some of that tenacity. Yeah. I see you.
But been here for 35 years.
Okay.
So spent my, majority of in fact, almost my entire adulthood here in Wisconsin, which is my home. And it's where I raised my family. And I'm really proud to call it home.
All right. Well, fair enough. Look, family, I will do this. I will make sure that as this race progresses, that you have other opportunities to speak with Judge Taylor, whether we're lucky to get her in the studio or she calls in, or if there are things that you are hearing and seeing out on the campaign trail, something comes up, like I need to address that, or I want to talk about this, or, raise a red flag or awareness, please call us anytime. You got the number right there. Call us anytime. All right, family, I'm going to take a quick break. And I want to thank Judge Chris Taylor and the folks that made this happen for the show today. I love it when people value our listeners and they come and talk to us early in this campaign. So, Chris, thank you so much for that. All right, family, I'll be right back. right, family, welcome back to the Community Voice. This is Michelle Bryant sitting in for my colleague, Mr. Keith Paris, who is out yachting.
Yachting.
with scones. With
Captain
scones.
Paris.
Yeah.
Let's make sure you get on back. Yeah. Come on.
I mean, look, his name sounds all exciting, Keith Paris. And he's out yachting and out and about, and has left me here to cover for him.
First, I thought you said he was yodeling. I was saying
Yodeling?
Is he yachting for real? Oh, okay. I was like, hey, I don't put it past
hey, man. He do some of everything.
He ain't gonna be nowhere but at a bookstore. He ain't doing nothing exciting. Rhonda do the exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Keith be at the bookstore and the record store. And there was, and wait, and being a music aficionado with his legs crossed at the set.
Ask Jermaine to say that word you just said.
Which word?
The word after music.
Aficionado?
Yeah, say that, Jermaine.
Here we go. Ask people how much you weigh.
Oh,
So it's gonna balance out. Balance out.
Wait, I got hit
balance
this
out.
time.
Yeah, it's gonna balance out.
What other boys into the happy birthday, Miss Carolyn?
I know, I'm getting to that.
Balance out.
But you know what, see, Jermaine, I tell you.
I'm just saying. He go low. I don't know the address to high. That's what
You don't-
I'm sorry.
You don't know the address
I don't
to
know the address to
high.
high. No. He go low. I go low.
Somebody said, Michelle Obama ain't talking to me.
Right.
I know high. I just go to the jaw.
Yeah, that's it. Bam. Go
Y'all
straight to
hear
that esophagus.
another voice in the studio. I have been joined by one of my colleagues. What's your name, man?
Well, the full name is Ron Kwaku,
See,
female
I can't
Kinderback
go.
Amawasi.
Oh, it's like
Yeah.
247
Better
letters.
say Kwaku.
247 letters in this man's name. It don't fit on his driver's license. He got 2 driver's licenses, so he can get his name on the whole thing.
It's just on the back.
What up, Quay?
What's
Quay,
going on?
cool. How you doing today,
Oh,
bro?
man, I'm doing good. Just listening to your show. I was listening to the beginning from when you had Vaughn on all the way to,
Oh, really?
to the new judge that's coming on. So
Look,
yeah,
and look, y'all, he was out in the lobby and he opened the door. He was like, hey, I know you got to pull this whole thing off for the next hour or so. You want me to come in? I was like, yeah, if you want to come in, come on in.
I said, but do you want me?
Yeah.
Do you need me?
Like, and then
Because I'm
like,
here for you.
like you got to tell
But I
me.
need to know that you want me.
You know what?
Am I your number one?
Look here, LTD.
Wow.
Shalimar. Look, I'm gonna go real
'Cause I'm
old
here for
school.
you, Michelle.
That sounded real moist.
No, it did not. It did not. What it sounded like was some nonsense. I got to beg you to come on in here. Bring your big head on in here and sit down. You know what? I can't.
got you.
And then, so what did I sing, Jermaine? Go on. Do the moves. Do the moves.
Yeah, that sounded real moist, man.
Oh, really?
I need to
Everybody right there. Everybody right there.
You do the snot. Hey, that's what you do the snot.
You said you did.
This is so sad.
I want to tell you for all
Oh,
these
really?
years.
We got the voiceover.
That's my Debo.
That's a Debo. Tell you what,
To tell me.
I don't care. No,
I
I
said, "Do you
don't.
still?" She said, "I never stopped." I just need you to know. You've always
Oh,
been
you
here.
don't do right.
Always
She said I
and
never
forever.
stop. Y'all, this is the saddest little thing I have
Just walk
ever
up to a
seen.
Quay and just say, Shell.
You know.
I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna let you know. Now, if you want to hear it, is another thing. But I'm gonna let you
I
know.
just had to tell Milwaukee before they found out anyway. Milwaukee, no.
You know what? Keep on playing. One of the things that Kwaku did say when he sat down is he needed to wish happy birthday to one of the divas in the building. What's Carolyn's last name?
Spinks.
I don't know, because
That's the emails I get.
I-
I
look,
turn myself in.
I just got her in my context as the harasser. So
Well, speaking of birthdays, I can't let this day go by without saying happy birthday to my one and only son, Jermaine Rideout Jr.
It's
Junior.
Junior, yeah, it's two of us.
Why y'all
double
do
trouble.
that?
24 years. He's in college. This is
Peter
last year in
repeat.
college, Mississippi Valley State.
Hey, all
So
right,
this is
King.
last year. So happy birthday, son.
Representing
father
the
love you.
HBCU.
And always remember, I always told you, don't be like this guy. Be better.
I love it.
Hey, they
It's
say
a
in the world, it's only
junior.
one man who truly wants you to do better than he does, and that's your daddy.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So, yeah,
I appreciate
That's
that.
profound, man.
Yeah.
So
There he go.
yeah, look, and that's
No,
why
I'm serious.
That's why he needed
There's
to be in
only
the
one
studio.
man
That
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 truly
wants you to
wants
do
you-
better than
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And that's your dad.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
So
Okay, I
yeah.
appreciate that.
My son's birthday. So happy birthday, Chip.
Happy birthday to Jermaine Rideout Jr. Happy birthday to Miss Carolyn Spinks. And I just want to say that Mary Ellen, the station manager, she done came in and
Man, don't look like a candy store in here, man. I thought I was walking in Family Dollar.
oh, what she do for a birthday
Yeah, it's
in this
unbelievable.
building is
Yeah.
unbelievable. But she thinks she get away with it because my birthday's on a Saturday. You ain't got to do it for me. Oh, yeah, I don't care if it's October. I better get my birthday because the precedent has now been set. But happy birthday. And let me also say, it's funny when you talk about being a junior. I met Richard Badger's son the other night.
Yeah.
He's a junior.
Wow.
Wear that name well.
Yeah.
Regal, just real class act, real strong brother. So I appreciated having the opportunity to meet him.
Yeah.
And anytime I tell people all the time, bros, we y'all biggest fans. Till y'all start talking, we are.
Now, see, I was messed up because I had twins.
Yeah.
So I called one Junior and the other one Deuce.
Oh.
Because they couldn't both be juniors.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well,
one to be
what
like,
did you
about
actually
mine?
make one a junior though?
No, they
Yeah,
just called
'cause-
them Junior and Deuce. They
Okay.
they both named after their grandfather. So that's how we settled that.
So-
Okay.
Yeah, because you could have been the first, the other one could have been the second.
Yeah, but then with the paperwork and all that
yeah.
get confusing. I don't know how they credit gonna be later.
Yeah.
Some separation.
Look, that's what I did. That's what I did with my son. 'Cause
Wait.
His dad was a third, and he thought I was gonna name my son after him. I said, "Boy, you no sir."
Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you the saddest thing I saw. Now I used to work at MSDF. I saw a first, a second, and a third all housed up in there at the same time. So when we start talking about the power names, what
Yeah.
it does, and everything
Yeah.
like that, we say it jokingly, but it's power in the name. So like when you give these names, they look after that. That's who I'm supposed to be. That's who
Yeah.
I'm supposed to go after. So
Yeah.
when you give that name, you got a responsibility that comes with that.
Man, don't say 3 generations in the spot or three
Yeah.
different family members. Yeah, that's madness. So look, we got an hour left in the program this morning. It's a couple of things I want to get to. And so, bro, it's actually good that you are joining us because one thing I had it up on my screen yesterday to talk about, didn't get to it. And it was entitled Birthday Sex. And so
I just did a presentation at the library. It's supposed to be on love and relationships and sex, but it was all single, so we didn't get to go into it. So I got some stuff prepared. So let's do this.
Okay.
Put on that salt and pepper.
So
Every day like it's my birthday.
that's it. That's all you gave me.
I mean, since they said ride out, I just want to get that
That's it.
So you ride out. God
That
bless
was
you.
it.
Thank you.
We're gonna end the song right there.
Enough said.
I want
That's
it.
it.
I got all tuned up for the song, and you end on your name. Yes, that does sound a little risque for daytime talk radio, particularly not on Sirius XM. But these are the folks that we got in positions of power, leadership. By now, many of you have heard that Donald Trump a while ago sued a publication because they put out.
Was it 20 billion?
It was a real number, bro. It was a real number. He put out something that said that
This was a fake letter.
he had been defamed and that no, it wasn't a fake letter in the beginning.
No, that's what he
the
said.
letter didn't exist.
Oh yeah, it didn't even
He
exist.
he said there is no such letter. This is a complete fabrication. They are lying on me. And then we find out because there's a lawsuit underway.
Come on.
and sizable amount of money that he is seeking. And then we find out that in fact there is something that was known as a birthday book. And
who created that book?
So Ghislaine Maxwell, who is the girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein, this actually comes up in her interview.
Come on.
When Trump sends his former private attorney, who's now with the Justice Department, down to talk to her. And this comes up again. And so this birthday book, in which there are all these messages that were sent to Jeffrey Epstein, the members of a congressional committee end up sharing this information. They released it. It was a book that was done in 2003 to commemorate Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday. And there are documents, and it's a virtual who's who, 238-page book containing messages, photos, a letter that people right now are carefully and cautiously saying resembling Donald Trump's signature. And I just had it up, and let me see if I can pull it back up.
It looked like his signature from that day when they pulled all the other ones up.
Man, but the card itself, where it talks about you having secrets, and hopefully you get to have more of those, good times, and like
there's all the inside jokes for the nasty, illegal, different things that they were
sex
doing.
Trafficking,
inside jokes.
And that minors were involved. There's no getting around it. So one of the things I kept trying to do is, so like right now we got high profile cases that are happening in the media in which Black men are being put out front as these dangerous elements of society that got to be controlled. So they mentioned the brother who is schizophrenic, mentally ill, has a long criminal record, probably most likely tied to some of his mental illness, who stabs the woman, Ukrainian woman on the
New York,
on the subway, and the video it's
grotesque. It's horrible.
Yeah. Now we have another brother who we got two. We got another brother that stopped to ask a couple if he could use their, he come in their house to charge his phone. And they end up being killed by this brother. And he sets the house on fire. And so these now are the poster child or poster children for violence being out of control and the subtle, not so subtle racism that's implied in terms of Black people, Black men. We need to be scared of them.
Willie Horton, all again.
Yeah, I think about that. There was, there have been a couple of these now. Major big box store had to do a delivery to a house. The delivery driver was Black, and a white female customer told him, "You can't come in my house." Called the store and said, "You need to send a white delivery driver." And the store acquiesced, and they did just that. And it was only when that white delivery driver realizes that this is not a new assignment for him, he's actually filling in because the white woman didn't want a Black man in her house. The white delivery driver raises hell and says, "This is not right. We should have just told her then to go shop somewhere else because we're participating in discrimination." And so we are here again at a time, and it's never gone away.
No.
That scary Black man image has always been out there. But right now we're putting these, I said all, but we're putting these two pictures up as the symbol.
It's birth of a nation in a different form.
But the thing that frustrates me is then you got these stories like a Jeffrey Epstein.
The true monster.
And
serial.
Like a man who had not completed college, but was allowed to be a teacher in the public schools. I'm sorry, in a private school. And a school that was geared for very wealthy.
High end.
Yes. Bill Barr, attorney Bill Barr, his father was the principal. And even the girls that attended that school talked about they knew it was something wrong with this dude. The way he leered at students and the way he dressed, it was inappropriate. He looked like he was going to Studio 54 instead of coming to the classroom. So you literally are placed, and nobody's talking about that and making that connection, that this man was literally placed in a school.
Found a place to groom in a legal manner.
And so when we're painting these images of who's a monster,
Yeah.
this information on this book comes up in the congressional hearing, and the innuendo in it is disturbing. Quite cool. As somebody, who you can have people that will call you and be like, hey, how do we address the way we are seeing the root causes of it? Do we ever change any of that? Because brother's gonna be back to crossing to the other side of the street so as not to be blamed for an assault. And then I'm even looking at Tyler Perry. There's a young white guy who now comes out saying Tyler Perry hit on him, tried to get at him, and he's suing him for like $250 million. Tyler Perry, big dude. So no matter whether it's a white male or female, as long as the victim is white, you get to be the monster. Like, can you help me with any of this by way of conversation and the psychology behind this? And I heard Birth of a Nation. I mean, I know, but like, how do we ever get past this ignorance, man?
Well, no, I mean, but that's the problem, because it's the psychology at the intersection of marketing. So when you say, what we're going to do is we're going to make you the poster child, even though you are nowhere near the people who look like this, if we show it enough, that's what people believe.
Because if you watch Dateline, it'll hardly never be no black Dateline stories.
But no, even when we started to talk about
Dateline
like
is where they show all the killers,
and things of that nature, overwhelmingly they never look like us. And then that's when it became a mental health issue. So you talk about like when drugs was with crack, it's a black thing, it's bad, it needs to be criminalized.
Moral,
when the opioid epidemic came and it was dealing more with people that have fair skin, this is a mental health issue, this is a epidemic of alarming crisis.
We got money,
have to work
we found money
from the same thing. So
social services.
But this is, I don't know why we're surprised, because this is what America is built upon. It was always built upon the commodification of the black body. So what we can say is that you are less than human. And as long as we can keep you looking at less than human, we can treat you in a less than humane way. And if we can build upon it. So what was the famous slogan for the Confederates when they were going down? The South shall rise again. So you said, hey, all of this stuff has been bubbling. They've just been waiting for a Donald Trump-ish person like that, where it didn't have to be politically correct to have to say these things. So as soon as they could get rid of DEI, look at what they did. What in lightning speed, what they always say, man, this is a bureaucracy. It takes time for these things to happen to go over. But when they wanted that to happen,
had to come our way.
Now
we're still waiting in some cases.
Now take that to your point. As soon as they don't want this to be an issue and to be able to show what the true face of crime is, they can do that immediately. They don't want to.
And then again, the broader media falls for the okie doke. And I think some of these station heads, you are a part of the problem. You jump right in on
100%.
You helping to peddle and push this nonsense. And then you got people on TV now trying to defend it and talk about, well, the violence problem is real. And I'm like I said, so ain't nobody white committed a crime the way y'all reporting these stories.
But you said it earlier in your show today. You say we talk about like these issues that happen, and we would be lying to say that it's not some issues in our communities we got to fix. But you say, what's the root of this? And when we start to talk about systemic racism, the things that create that, we were just talking about this. You look just outside of WNOV. I go to that gas station. I go to this where Kohl's used to be, where Walgreens ain't no more. And then you got McDonald's, you got chicken, you got Wendy's. What do you think you're going to get from this environment that you put people in? And now you put that in complicating with all of the stuff that happened with, with jobs being lost, with all of the money and NPS going down. They create systems and then they wonder why you create this type of population that you want. If you put people in a behavioral scene, you're always, and this is the psychology of it, you're going to get the worst of that human being. Poverty leads to crime. Crime leads to these things. Well, we have the ability to stop poverty. We have the ability to make sure that every child is fed, to make sure that every child gets a decent education, but we make sure we don't in this society.
And, but I'm glad, and to use the overarching conversation though about it being, systemic, and because all of this is not tied to poverty. I was thinking about, and I mean, just in terms of trying to position people to be viewed and perceived in a certain way. I was thinking about the recent story I read about McDonald's franchise owners, past and current, who are now suing McDonald's. we all pull up to McDonald's. I get my coffee from McDonald's. Folks get their fries. I know I go to McDonald's that are owned by people of color.
Yeah.
Because I know who own them. But you don't even think about it. But then, what's his name? Byron Allen.
Yeah.
He starts the ball rolling. Hey, I'm suing McDonald's because they won't do advertising with these black-owned media outlets. Okay, so now I'm paying attention. So now what was a full steak bagel and hash browns, now I'm reducing my money spend because I do need coffee. It's, I gotta have that. And so then I see another story. It says black franchise owners of McDonald's suing McDonald's because they're saying McDonald's will only give them franchises in
certain neighborhoods.
Yeah. So they've tried to get McDonald's in white suburban neighborhoods and can't get them there. Why are you gatekeeping on who owns the McDonald's in the white neighborhood? You worried about them hiring black people? I mean, and so you realize, because by the time you get to a point where you can afford to be a McDonald's franchise owner, most things are going good for you.
Yeah.
And you present yourself in a certain way. Your money right, business wise, credit wise, those things got to line up for you to be at that level that you're now playing as a franchisee. But yet you still, not Dave Chappelle. Who was I talking about? Oh,
Chris Rock.
They talk about, you still move around in certain neighborhoods, still do certain things, and you still look that sideways. The propensity to keep us, regardless of poverty.
No, and so I love that you said that, because I think people say, well, if it's really classism over poverty. I said, to a certain extent, because like you said, we do have people who are exceptional financially, that's done some things. But when you put them on the same level with people who have the same financial status, then the racism kicks back in again. If I have tons of money and you have nothing, then yeah, that's going to trump you in some things I can get. But you put me on par. Remember, Oprah had trouble shopping in certain places.
Yeah.
So when you start saying, hey, your money can only get you to certain levels where that racism still is going to kick in. So I think what you have to understand is, and this is a global phenomenon, and it goes all the way back to the diaspora when they came in and they took our people. They didn't just come to America. Most people went to Brazil. 47% of our people went, but you look at how we was dispersed throughout. And when you look throughout the region, so I do a lot with sports. The worst sport for black people to play in is what they call football. We call it soccer. When you have these black elite players, now these are millionaires, people who they cheer for, but every place they call monkeys, they call
Bananas,
this, all of these different things.
Yeah.
And so you start talking about the same people you cheer for and you love, you want to do well, you still see them as less than. So they still see, and that goes back to the thing. They've tried to strip away our humanity by just because of the pigment in our skin. And that's the picture of everything that something is wrong with that they painted globally. You go to Australia, they talk about the Aborigines. You go to any other place, and where you start talking about the undesirables in India, it always goes down to a colorism, because like the darker you are, wherever you go, somehow that's been equated through the marketing, through the media, that something is wrong with you or that you are less than.
So let me pivot, because yesterday I had County Executive David Crawley on the show. He has announced that he is running for governor. And so I hadn't seen it yet. Some people sent me a copy of his first commercial, and I hit him up. I sent him a text. I said, "Hey, bro, couple of insights." Now, listeners, some of y'all gonna be offended, but I said I got a couple of insights, and I'm gonna do this for free because I get paid for this. Number one, don't make the Mandela Barnes mistake, because I'm looking at the ad and black folks is in the backdrop. We moving in the meeting space, you see us.
Yeah.
But we're not.
We're on the peripheral. Yeah. We're not on the inside.
And then so when the commercial towards the end of the commercial, it starts talking about working, whether you're working something, and it shows a Hispanic auto worker or a single mom in Sheboygan. Or some dad who care about his family, some dad, and I got to look at the end of it now. And it's a white guy and his kid. And then the third thing is a white person and their kid. I said, don't start that. where you got consultants and people around you that's helping you, and they don't understand that we see this. So we not the worker. Now the one time people talking about single parents, we not the single parent raising the child. We not the hardworking daddy checking in on his kid before we flip the light switch off. And whatever the third one was, you don't highlight a Black person or Milwaukee in any of those things. And when people was running Mandela's campaign, the hard sell was to white people. And while we live in a state that is predominantly white,
we got 72 counties.
You still got to appreciate the balance in the way these things are done. And that's for every group. I'm not just pitching for Black people, but I'm saying you got to pay attention to that.
Number one, you can't lose your base. The people who got you here in the first place, you got to make sure that they're recognized. And though your face is a representative of them, you have to make sure they're there. But I always tell you this, and you alluded to this with the judge. How is your campaign being financed?
Right.
Because I always say, when you show me who's financing your campaign, and I'm going to show you who the real people are. And the real people who finance it, they telling you what those final decisions in those commercials are. Now, they might trick you and make you think like, oh, I like this and this is okay. But if you cannot finance your own campain.
And at this level, let me be clear, nobody Black is going to be able to do that.
No.
And a lot of white people can't do it.
But that's the whole thing.
So you're going to have that help.
You got to have help. But the thing is this, but how are you beholden to them?
And you got to be somebody who has a say in your campaign. You cannot let these consultants tell you we know best. We did, I remember when I was working on the Abley campaign, I had some, white consultants. It was something we was doing. And I said, that's not going to play well with our community. And they were like, ignoring what I said. And then at some point, they wanted to trot out, credentials like, well, we did the so-and-so campaign. How did that work out for you? I'm telling you, this is Milwaukee. This is where I move around. And some of the stuff that these consultants will do for you will mess you up. Mandela Barnes, the one running joke about Mandela's campaign is that damn peanut butter sandwich. Everybody busts out laughing when you said, with that red plaid shirt on and that Parker vest. And, people don't know Mandela actually do dress like that half the time, but it just looks so contrived because you're trying to appeal to a certain group of people. If you're going to be a elected official of the people, then you need to be of the people. Don't have us in the background as, we background, but when you focus in on issues, and this just the first commercial. So they're going to get better,
get more.
But I also said, this is how you set the tone.
I was just about to say that. Because how you come up, I always think of the Five Heartbeats, the movie. Remember, they take all these pictures and they looking for the album cover, and then they come back and it's a white family.
Exactly. You like what?
It was like, no. We gonna get our base with the crossover, and then we come back to our people and say, no, the crossover ain't nothing but a double cross. And this is what I say: if I'm inside of this race right here, the crossover ain't nothing but a double cross. Now you are, and I always appreciated this about Obama. He said, I'm the president that Black people can be proud of, but I'm not just president of Black people. I'm president of all people.
Absolutely.
So you got to represent all 72 counties if you're going to be the governor. But
and tell these people, just because I'm Black, you still got to deliberately picture Black folks.
And your work is in Milwaukee County.
Yeah. But the other thing I said to him too, I said, hey, everybody can't film dark-skinned Black people.
Yeah.
We can come out looking like you got to make sure you got people that have worked with dark-skinned Black folks, because I see how I look on camera. I'm dark-skinned. I can look like just a brown spot, but but if that camera and that lighting is not such, sometimes if I don't have my glasses on to break up the brown, man, it's horrible. And I'm like, then the other thing I said, and we'll say, in addition to whoever is the consulting firm, some Black consultants need to be on this team. And, to be able to help, because number one, we'll never get these jobs for real.
But hey, put a caveat about it. A person that's Black, but that's culturally relevant.
Yes.
You can have
because we got a whole bunch of Black people that they don't know no Black people.
They can check the box, but don't fill the blocks in.
They don't know anything, and as soon as you talk to them, you like, these people don't know nothing.
Mhm.
They don't know nothing about our community, you know. And if you look at most of their friends list, most of their friends is white. So you got the job under the premise that you black, but you're not really even connected to the black community. I done seen that more times than I care to count. You know, so that was one of the things when I was watching this young brother as he gets ready to embark on this. And then I had people all day hitting me like, Michelle, I heard the interview. Do you think they're gonna move past racism in this state? And I said, again, we use the example of Barack Obama. Of course, that's possible, but you know, that's at a different level. That's what I had a couple brothers say. Barack played at a different level. You know, you talking about U.S. Senate, you know.
Yeah, but Barack also grew up in a white household. So when they saw Barack,
they saw
his white mama.
They saw.
He went to Harvard,
and I've had to say that.
He went to Columbia. So and he dated white women, and they knew Barry from that standpoint too. They was like, he's kind of one of us in a sense in their mind where they say, I can relate to him. And he had the ability to make everybody feel like that he was their best friend because he was so smooth with what he did. And so that's one of the things when you start talking about a Barack Obama, that's an anomaly.
And it is something that it is, like you said, you put a caveat in it, a pin, whatever, that you do have to be able to say there were some inherent differences because at the end of the day, it was white women that could see him as their son.
Mm-hmm.
There were white people.
Yeah,
you could see him as their grandson. You know, I have a biracial nephew, and you know, he looked like Barack Obama. So his grandparents and one of them like, woo.
He was culturally ambiguous. He was easier to stomach.
Okay, so we will go with that. So then the thing becomes, we have this brother that ambiguity does not.
No,
it's not a thing, you know, and you're a young brother. Somebody was asking me, I said, I personally believe he can pull this out, but it's a fine line you're going to have to walk because obviously you got everybody looking from all sides. So how do you best get this done? I remember we were hearing from, you know, black folks around the country had tried to help out on Mandela's campaign that were being rebuffed by his organization or whoever was working with him. And some of these black folks were sitting there saying, we see it. We see where it's holes. And you're gonna mess around and
blow it.
Yeah, and
they did.
Some of it's gonna be your own base that's gonna be sitting at the house, you know. So just to say, and I said, and at first I thought about whether I wanted to say this on the air or not, but I'm like, I'm gonna say it early and put it out in the atmosphere
so they can make corrections.
Yeah,
it's constructive criticism.
Yeah,
if
like
you listen,
just to think, and like, and this the other thing too, to tell, you know, white people and these white consultants, y'all ain't the only one know how to run a damn campaign, and they don't like listening to black people. They, you know, what have you done? You haven't done this. You haven't, like, we do this every day.
Come on.
And been doing it for years. You know, what y'all have done is focus grouped us and siphoned off all our information and then go back to your clients paying thousands of dollars and present information like it's your information. But you stole it from us. You siphoned it, you wined and dined us, gave us some damn tea cakes and made us think we was a part of the room. And then you literally
sit at the table. We want to know what you're saying.
You know, and you feeling all chest stuck out like, hey, I'm in the room. No, they getting your information and then going back. And that's what they putting in their invoice when they charging their client. But you look at these consulting firms and they will not have black people for real working and not in any meaningful way. You know, I'm appreciative of the fact that I got to be political directors on campaigns and that I knew what the hell I was doing.
So they calling you?
What's that playing? You know, anybody gonna call me?
But see, that's the problem though. It's like, here you is, you say, okay, well, we can't put you in here because you don't got the experience. Even though we think you got skills, you don't got the experience. Now we have somebody with the skills and the experience. So now you tell me, and she from the city where you at? And so this is my whole thing. It's like you kind of telling us already. And I'll say this on the record. I love David. Like I've seen him and watched him grow. And I thought when he went for the county executive, I was like, ooh, this is a big jump. Is he ready?
Yeah, I literally told him no. You know,
and when I saw him in the debates, I said, oh, they prepped him well.
He was.
I saw him grow, and I was like, okay. Martin Luther King was 26. Everybody was like, oh, you're too young. You can't do this. Sometimes you grow into a position.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've seen him grow into it. The only thing, and I'll share this with anybody, and he knows I'll share this with him. I said, David, just make sure you stay your own man.
Right.
I said, there's going to be times where certain things are going to be offered, but it comes, with this deal, with these other things. And they say, you never want to sell your soul for a position because it's something little in the beginning and you say, oh, I can do this. But then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you become something that's unrecognizable. And the worst feeling in the world is to look in the mirror and not know who you are or not like what you see.
And I think he has done a good job of staying grounded. I think that Erica is, is certainly a factor in that, and I think staying connected to the community, he's already a personable dude, a likable cat.
Got his degree.
Look,
he said, I ain't gonna be a Skywalker. I'm gonna finish and I'm gonna have a degree.
And let me be clear, because hey,
talk about unqualified.
We don't get to do that. You don't get to run for governor and not have that piece of paper. Like this man gonna run for governor, Skywalker, for the president of the United States. He ain't got a damn degree. Like, are you kidding me? You didn't finish. Somebody would have came up with a little homemade program for you to finish. And so, no, we have to be twice as good, and have all those T's crossed and I's dotted. I got to take a break. Callers, I see y'all. We'll get y'all in. But we need to have some real talk this morning, because the way we are back. We've never left it, but in the aggressive and open way people are coming for our community right now. We got to talk about how we deal with some of this stuff. So I'll take a break. Michelle Bryant sitting in for my man, Mr. Keith Paris. You listen to Community Voice. We'll be right back.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. More bad news for the economy, even as the Trump administration claims America is in a new golden age. But the question is, booming for whom? A new survey from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows that in August, inflation expectations ticked up to 3.2%. At the same time, workers are bracing for smaller gains. Median earnings growth expectations slipped to 2.5%, below the year-long average. Unemployment fears are rising as well. On average, Americans now put the chance of a higher jobless rate a year from now at 39%. And perhaps the most troubling number, job security. The perceived odds of finding a job after losing one dropped nearly 6 points to just 45%. That's the lowest since the Fed began tracking back in 2013. For AURN News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
I'm Adriana Mendez, and in your 4 to know this morning, according to court records, a DoorDash driver is being accused of threatening to shoot a Milwaukee restaurant owner. The incident allegedly started when the driver was asked to confirm an order. Surveillance video from Megawitch Sandwich Shop on Brady Street shows the heated argument. The driver has not been charged yet with a crime. Charges have now been filed against a Sheboygan man for shooting inside a business that injured a toddler and 2 others. According to the criminal complaint, 65-year-old Paul Lee went inside Wisconsin Home Health Care early Friday morning and shot a man he suspected of having an affair with his wife. Lee is expected back in court on Monday on charges of attempted first-degree intentional homicide and first-degree reckless injury. If you have United Healthcare insurance, Ascension Hospitals could be out of your network by the end of the month. The two groups are currently in negotiations on a new contract and payment rates. If the deal is not reached, Ascension will be out of reach for United customers by October 1st. The Brewers will look to avoid a series sweep against the Texas Rangers today. Freddie Peralta will try for his 17th win of the season when he takes to the mound. The first pitch from Globe Life Field in Arlington is set for 1:35. The Crew can become the first team to clinch a playoff spot with a win and a loss from the Reds, the Giants, and the Dodgers. For these stories and more, head to tmj4.com.
Here's your updated forecast. Partial sunshine develops here for today. We'll see high in the mid-70s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, partly cloudy with a low near 60. Thursday, sunshine high of 74 degrees. And Friday, mostly sunny with a high around 78. Saturday, we'll have a slight chance for showers and thunderstorms. Cloudy high of 82. Sunday, sunshine high of 77. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on AM 860, The Voice.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time on a fancy water bottle with ultra titanium alloy metal. You're not sure why you need all that. I mean, it just holds water, but you're getting it anyway. Because if you're hiking near an active volcano and you accidentally drop the bottle into molten lava, your water will still be icy cold. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For water bottles. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Missed your favorite show? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Catch up on all the action anytime, anywhere. Just head over to our Facebook and YouTube pages to watch and listen to shows you like Say Something Real, Community Voice, Be a Voice, The Difference, Money Talks, and so much more. Simply log on, sit back, and enjoy your favorite content on your time. That's right, never miss a moment. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube today. Your show, your way. We're WNOV 106.5 FM and 860 AM, The Voice.
860 AM 106.5 FM. WNOV, The Voice.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice. This is Michelle Bryant sitting in for the host, Keith Paris, who is out yachting with scones today. Not yodeling.
Oh, same difference.
It is not the same difference.
Yodeling on the yacht. He's yodeling on the yacht. My name is Elmer Fudd. I'm a millionaire. I own the mansion in the yacht.
He's yodeling on the yacht. Let me say good morning to my man Byron, who just joined us in the studio. What up, B?
Good morning. Good morning.
How you doing, Q?
I'm great. I'm great.
What's up, Fred? We got some callers. I'm sorry, what?
I ain't talking to B, man.
You not? Why you mad with him? He don't bother nobody.
Don't. Because he beat me in the video game, but that's personal.
Your pride hurt.
Yeah, man, he beat me 60. What was it, 60 something to 3?
63-3.
Hey, man, you weren't supposed to remember that, bro. So you got a phone call, Chef.
63-3.
Yeah, man, I fell asleep.
Was you? I was gonna say, was you awake?
That's my story. I fell asleep.
Diego said social promotion. Greenfield just like looking good today, man. Greenfield. Where you go to school, Byron?
Whitewater.
No, high school.
Oh, Riverside.
Oh, MPS.
MPS.
Hey, I ain't even gonna say nothing. This coach pulled up on me, and I'm still scared of coach, so I ain't gonna say nothing about
Coach Holmes,
MPS.
you didn't want that smoke.
Oh man, he pulled
Well,
up.
you don't want it with Oil Holmes.
Yeah.
I tell you that.
He
still ain't no
he been
joke.
doing it to me. I'm like, Coach, man, no.
You ain't gonna get me to say nothing about it.
Go, so we're all right. So we got some callers. Let me get them in. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, my question to you is, do you remember or can you remember, or even inform me in the audience, what was David stance on the raising of the taxes to cut that deal with Voss up there and got us that 2% increase? What was his stance on that? And what was his stance on the MPS idea of giving them that money? You know, I just want to know what was his take on it. Was he there in Madison, standing alongside this other little fella that's running hot shot over the community? Just he really being another Brandon Johnson. The Johnson over there in Chicago, I guess he's playing out his playbook, doing what he want to do.
Oh, let's be clear. Chevy ain't Brandon Johnson. No, let's just be clear about that, bro. It ain't the same at all.
Well, it might not be the same, but he showed doing what he want to do.
Brandon Johnson is a G.
I was gonna say he for real.
Yeah, it ain't the same at all.
Brandon Johnson is a G.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. He
Now,
they not the same.
Do you ever get this? I'm in Chicago.
And how you calling somebody little when you shorter than both Chevy and
hold on.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying, go for the little. You the smallest dude between the three of them.
What his stance was on that?
He talked about it yesterday. He was in the room helping to negotiate the deal.
And look,
in order to be able to financially,
I want all of us to get out and vote for David Cloudy and pull him through the primary. Okay, we need him to be pulled through the primary. We want everybody.
But wait, that don't sound like you want him. Do you want him to win and become governor though? Because I'm not hearing
I want him
that.
to be the governor.
You do.
I want him to be the governor of his own household.
Yeah, I knew. See, I knew it was going to come up. You rooting for the Republican to be the governor, right?
No. This is what we're saying, Michelle. Look what we got so far. Well, look what we got so far, and how do he explain it?
Well, he definitely talked about the fact that the county was in a situation where they was financially about to go under.
So therefore, you take the hands of the people. You tie the hands of the people to make a decision or vote on it. We asked for a memorandum. And
you didn't have to vote for it, though. The people didn't. If the people didn't want to do it, they didn't have to vote for the referendum. He didn't hold a gun to nobody's head.
They didn't even give us one. They took it out of our hands and put it in the hands of the Common Council.
What are you talking about? How you bring up the referendum and then say they didn't give us a vote?
They did. No, I said it should have been one to make that decision on raising the taxes in the city and county of Milwaukee. There was none.
Oh,
that's called voter suppression right there to me.
Not always. There will be times when those decisions get made.
That instance.
Okay.
Come on, we got to keep it real, dog.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna say this. You know, when you're trying to make these ends meet and the budget being what it is, there will be times when you don't raise
sacrifice
taxes.
the people.
You're not sacrificing the people because if the city cannot function,
you don't sacrifice us.
If the city cannot function, then what?
Let the city do what it's gonna do. They're gonna get some money.
Okay. Well.
No.
I'm just saying.
People
okay.
To remember what these people have done to us. We always seem to forget. And Chris Abley, but it's written all over. I smell Chris Abley all over all of this.
Well,
from the city to the county.
So who you trying to have be the governor then, bro?
I don't care who the governor. I just don't want nobody that's the socialist or somebody that's going to suppress our vote.
And you think David is a socialist?
Well, he's dancing around with that crew.
He dancing around with who?
He dancing around with that kind of crew, that kind of ideology.
But look at the crew you dance with. We ain't holding it against you.
I dance with anybody that want to dance.
You dancing with child pedophiles. I mean,
okay. You know, now, see, when you do stuff like that,
six-time bankruptcy filers.
Now you see what she's doing, right? She's setting herself up.
Good, hard-working people out their money out of their college.
No.
I'm saying to you that your crowd is suspect.
If I run with them kind of people, then
your crowd is suspect, bro. That's what I'm saying.
You just accused David of, though.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You talking about running around with child pedophiles, Donald Trump. I don't know if Donald Trump is a child pedophile. He ain't been convicted of it.
Well, just the fact that he said he wouldn't mind dating his daughter.
Okay, well, that's just
what you want me to do with that?
I don't know about that.
But then you don't want to know the truth because the truth is.
I want to know this right here. Did David Cloudy sat in the seat, and you just verified he had to do what he had to do. And that means sacrifice the people. So who's to say he won't sacrifice the people in the
He didn't
governor's chair?
sacrifice the people. Are the people still here?
Okay,
they still holding it together.
Did he suppress the vote? Did he go along with the suppression of the black vote?
No, because he didn't do it. There was nothing done that was illegal. You have the opportunity. That's why you elect people,
because they took it before.
That's why we also elect people to be able to help make these decisions. That's why we elect
one or two of them people that say
we don't make every decision.
Even if he moved it to the county council, the people voted for them. So when those things go there,
again, he didn't make a unilateral decision to do anything. But okay, Meech.
He was involved. He had a vote.
Meech, like I understand what the phone call is about, bro. I appreciate you.
Well, then why don't you deal with it and quit making it seem like I'm the villain?
You are the villain. That's what I understand.
Exactly what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Donald Trump didn't mess with little kids.
Man, like he's Donald Trump right now.
No, that's your boy.
We're talking about at home, man.
Look, but Meech, I do understand that you called to poison the well. I know exactly what you did.
The well is already poisoned.
No, I mean
the well is already poisoned.
Let's
the bucket
not
that y'all sitting down in there is
you are not going to be supporting
this. Chris
you're going to be supporting the Republican candidate.
Give me a couple
You'll be
dollars
somewhere getting you a few dollars
paid, man,
to go out and speak on their behalf. I already know what you're doing.
I'm not going out to speak on who I'm speaking on the people's behalf. You fail to realize that nobody sponsors me. Nobody gives me anything.
Always support.
Hey,
bro, I spent a lot of time on this. I got another caller and the show only got 15 more minutes. I appreciate it. Thank you. But I mean, come on, fam. This is what you do. Without fail, you're gonna be stopping for the Republicans.
He tried, like, you know how they used to try to trick Jesus in the Bible.
I'm just saying.
Like, let me ask you a question. Just say what you gonna say,
somewhere
man.
Hustling for a contract to go out and promote the Republican candidate to the black community. You're gonna have you a little meet and greet and some chicken over at the 100 Gems. Tell everybody come on. Not connecting that with him, but that's where he like to go. But that's what you do, fam. That's what you do. And then somewhere along the way, I get paid for helping bring the sheep to the slaughter. That's what you do. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good evening or good morning.
What's happening now? How you doing?
I think I'm doing fine. I hope all is well.
Good.
I'm glad that Crowley is running. I think it's time for, new, fresh, young ideas. But my question to you and the listeners is, when is the Republican Party going to realize that 5-year-old boy named Cody can't get pregnant? Because they're popping up in media 24/7. And my thing is, what's up with all this rape? Why you can't go get a prostitute? She keep her hands and her mouth clean, but you always want to take some innocence. What's up with that? And is it because? And then my thing is, there's been many times y'all dropped the bar of soap, but there was nobody standing there. So why are y'all so jaded and bitter? Have a great day.
Thank you, Al.
Yeah, we all speechless. So that's the last thing you need. But I think even the callers now you can be on point with some stuff. Even if that would I couldn't see the ends tired.
Everybody's face was like,
nah. I mean,
no. To his one point,
you hear it. The frustration again because we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, and yes, you out here surfing, in high schools for victims and young children to mess with when it's grown women you can mess with every day.
But that's part of the issue is they want to take that. That's part of the sickness.
Right.
It's like if it's a predator, I don't want to prey that's easy to catch. I want to get something that's difficult, that's hard, that makes
and it
it
ain't
even
even
more
necessarily
difficult.
difficult. Power dynamics, all kinds of things. Little young mind.
But to be the first,
control. It's a whole bunch of reasons why grown men mess with little girls. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
Everybody's in the studio.
Hey,
I just wanted to say I thank you for your when you illuminated on running for office. I ran once for the county exec and after this pension scandal, and Scott Walker was in that mix.
Right.
And I can tell you, it wasn't for Lori Wynn, Martha Love, Kurt Harris, Eric Bond, all kind of people, Gerard Randall. Man, everybody was helping me. I thought I knew something. I ain't know nothing. And all that expertise was right in the community.
Right.
To help me figure out how to run, how to do the petitions. You know, I didn't even know that people could come get petitions and then fill them out wrong and have them in your portfolio, and you would submit them, and you could be disqualified because you got all this wrong information. I didn't know people would be planted to do those kind of things. I mean, all of the kind of things that happen in a campaign. Then how to, you know, the ladies had to teach me how to dress. I didn't know how to dress. To go to these to these forums, and I had to put a platform together. I had to put a mission and a vision together for what I wanted to do. I mean, it was so much. So I'm hoping that David pulls it together and gets through. I think he's on the right track. I did like some other people in there, but no, I'll switch my allegiance to David Crowley because I think he's deserving to make that happen. But it's but you're right. There's enough black consultants and enough people in the community that know how to help you run a campaign that you can have a diverse group, but you can't say I know you can do it with a black group helping you figure this all out. So nobody can tell me that you have to have a all white group to show you how to run for office. Nope. There's plenty of expertise in our community.
All right. Thank you, Tyrone. I appreciate it. You know, and I'll just say that, like, unfortunately, many elected officials, black and white, they go to the same well, you know, and you see one particular consulting group's hands all over everything. I've chastised and gotten at this group before because I'm like, how do you not have somebody black on your staff that's a real player, not the receptionist, not, you know, some low level individual, but that really understands these dynamics. And so, you know, I will say it is incumbent upon the candidates to make sure that you have a team that's diverse. And then the money that gets spent in these races is stupid money. And so again, never even thinking about if I'm getting ready to employ all these people, nobody black gonna make no money. Come on. Nobody black in this game is gonna get paid. Because I'm getting ready to pay the printer, the advertisers, the radio station, the so-and-so. And so you have to be deliberate. And a lot of candidates let the consultants, because they got you thinking, you know, oh, they know everything.
We got the team already.
Yeah, you know, and it's just like, okay. But I look at track records. And even if they win it, I'm still asking the question, how do I, as an individual that's black, not look around and make sure I'm hiring some black people? You know, when Tony Evers became governor and you got all white people that's working in your office and y'all put y'all picture out and one Hispanic lady.
So what's going to happen when Chevy put his name in the hat?
Yeah, Chevy ain't getting in that race. Chevy, you know, we got to get ready to go, but Chevy ain't getting in that race because the reality is that, David done messed that game up for him already.
Yeah, I was hoping they don't.
Yeah, we're not gonna pick between the two. And if we gotta pick, the community is gonna pick David. And I say that because David is more personable.
He's already been a part of the community.
Yeah, Chevy and I, you know, and it's just Chevy's demeanor. Chevy is restrained. He's tight. He does not laugh easy. You know, even though I think he's a decent and a good guy. But David, back to that George Bush mess. Who you want to go drink a beer with? Yeah, and it's David all the time. You know, when he lit up Chris Larson, that's
when I said, oh, he ready.
he looked like new money standing up here. You know, and to Tyrone's point, was dressed the part. Chris Larson looked like he had just came from JCPenney outlet.
I think you underestimated Crowley.
You know, had that suit on. Debo wore the church last.
Yeah, that real loud suit.
Debo catching strays, boy.
Yeah, Debo be throwing them over the table.
So you know, and I tell people, it's not just about your policies. It's how you look, how you sound. It's all kinds of stuff that play into your winnability factor. In fact, a lot of the stuff that dictates you winning don't have nothing to do with the actual damn job. It can be a popularity contest. So, all right, y'all, I have talked out. Bruh, I want to thank
just
you.
warming up.
Look. I want to thank you for hanging out with me this last hour. I appreciate the fact that Judge Chris Taylor stopped by today. Jermaine Greenfield has done you.
Well, I'm gonna say this.
Well,
I'm gonna say this.
Sort of, kind of today. What you gonna say?
Bye, Michelle.
Oh, it's like that.
That's it. That's
Peace.